I hate you. Don't laugh.
Okay, I'll stop laughing. I can't laugh anymore.
I hope you get the Dementor's kiss.
That's rough.
Yeah, all the fucking happiness. Whoop, gone.
Wow, my whole soul is just gone.
Fuck you. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, reading a classic kings. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Zach, and sitting here next to me making the weirdest of faces is my brother, Nate.
I was making multiple faces, not just one. It was pretty cool.
You're scary.
We are full spoiler. We will ruin your day. If you have not read the series, you should leave. Do so. Come back. We'll be waiting. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. Last episode, we were reading John 5. I already changed the page.
John 5. And the men from the Shadow Tower, along with Qhorin Halfhand, arrived at the Fist of the First Men, and John was immediately impressed by him, and he seemingly was impressed by John and his wolfy wolf and the things he's heard. And Mormont and the Halfhand caught up. Essentially, the Halfhand said, we should be sending scouts out, some here, some there, to figure out what the fuck is going on. And Mormont eventually agreed, even though he was loath to lose the men. And he asked Qhorin to pick his team, and Qhorin said, well, sweet, I pick Jon Snow.
So the reason he mentions there is why I actually don't think it's necessarily because he was impressed by Jon or what he's heard from him, but he says he wants him there because he's a Stark, and there's power in the Starks.
Gods
just like
still powerful, yeah. And the wolf.
Right.
He's all about that wolf.
Exactly. This episode, we are reading Tyrion 10. And so last we saw Tyrion, we were involved in the bread riots.
Shit was going cray.
Yeah. So as they saw Myrcella off on the boat to head to Braavos and then Dorne from there, they start making their way to the keep and they get attacked.
And Cersei was stupid and being themselves. And the
bread riots ensued.
Small folk attacked and lost quite a few people. The High Septon was torn apart.
The only one worth mentioning is Aaron Santigar.
Beaten to death.
And
Lawless got raped about 50, 60 times.
So.
And it was a shit show. Tyrion really stepped up once they retreated back to the Red Keep and began giving orders, having people out as Flea Bottom also caught fire. Tyrion dictated, who should go where and handled shit.
You said dick.
And then later on, Sir Jacelyn Bywater gave him the report, and he met with Bronn and Varys and kind of just was pissy.
Yeah, he was really pissy, especially towards Bronn.
In Tyrion 10, we pick up as Lancel and Tyrion currently kneel alone in the darkness of the Sept. But even so, Lancel whispered and is telling Tyrion that Cersei intends to send Tommen away because... or not because, but she wants to have Lord Giles take him to Rosby in the guise of a page, and they even plan to darken his hair a little bit. And Tyrion asks if it's the mob she fears or me.
Both.
Both, my lord.
Shut up, Lancel. So Tyrion's pretty pleased with this news, and next, Lancel asks him if his boon will be granted. And Tyrion's like, yeah, well, we'll see. Because basically he wants command of one of the battles, one of the battalions during Blackwater, I would assume, is what he's referring to. And he's basically like, he's so eager to die, he hasn't even finished growing out his little mustache, but he wants to go out in a blaze of glory. Granted, I don't blame Lancel for that at this point, where he's caught between Cersei, and so what better way to go out than that?
So Lancel, Diddy bops out, and Tyrion lingers after he leaves, and he lights a candle at the warrior's altar and tells him to watch over my brother, you bloody bastard. He's one of yours. And he lit a second candle to the stranger for himself.
I like that very much.
Tyrion, why are you doing weird stuff in the Sept?
Do you think that's showing off any kind of, the stranger is known for being reminiscent of the Seven's incarnation of death?
I think it's more showing where Tyrion's state of mind is right now. He's the twisted visage, and at this point he's dealing in wildfire, which is the epitome of death, of bringing death. And so, I think that's showing a lot where his head's at right now. But he tells Bronn, or that night after dark, Bronn arrives as Tyrion is sealing up a letter, and he tells Bronn to take it to Bywater, Jacelyn Bywater.
Yeah, and because Bronn doesn't read, Tyrion has to explain it to him, that it's telling him to take a bunch of knights and scout the Rose Road, which is the road that heads down towards Highgarden. And Bronn's like, that doesn't make much sense, though, because isn't Stannis more apt to or we're more likely to get attacked from the King's Road, so that would make more sense. And he's like, right, I want you to deliver this to Bywater, but I want you to tell him to ignore it. He is to go north. He needs to lay a trap, and he needs to engage with Lord Giles when they're on their way to Rosby with Tommen. And Bronn's like, wait a minute. Hold up.
Hold the phone.
You just want to bring Tommen back to the castle?
Nah.
Because,
Tyrion wants him taken on to the castle, on to Rosby. Removing Tommen from the city is one of Cersei's better notions. He'd be safe at Rosby, and keeping him and Joffrey apart would make things much more difficult for Stannis should King's Landing fall.
Now, can I say that that's not only a great idea for those reasons, but also keeping Joffrey and Tommen apart?
To not let the influence spread of fucking savagery? Yeah.
Granted, it didn't.
It wouldn't,
and it doesn't, but just that one extra thing. I just feel I would have liked to see if King's Landing and the North had been able to remain friendly, to see like Tommen go and be a ward of the North, or not a ward, but a the hell do they call them there when they send? Is it a ward? Yeah, a ward.
Yeah.
And just go up to Winterfell for a while, because I feel like if Tommen could get hardened up a little bit, he would be such a great badass kid.
Yeah.
Like, he has so much potential to be a badass.
You just like him because he likes cats.
I don't give a shit what the main reason I like him for. I'm just trying to explain other reasons I could like him for.
The interesting bit to me is that Tyrion says once Bywater is inside Lord Giles' walls, he is to expel the garrison and hold Tommen there safe. And to sweeten the pot, he tells Bronn to ask him how he likes the sound of Lord Bywater.
Bronn likes the sound of Lord Bronn better.
And he's like, I can just grab the boy and do it. And Tyrion's like, yeah, no, I need you here. And really, he just doesn't trust Bronn with his nephew.
So that's good. Especially since his last interaction with him in Tyrion 9, when he was, after the bread riots, discussing, fuck the people and all that shit. He really has had this sour taste in his mouth for sellswords currently.
Especially toward Bronn, and how kind of galling his actions are, where he just doesn't respect the Lord.
I think that, and he's been very weary of Bronn since he first met him way back in the day.
Yeah.
But I think especially since he appointed Bywater to Lord Commander of the City Guard, the City Watch, and then that time when, right after, the hell's his name? Janos Slynt was removed, and he sat down with Bronn and asked, would you go and kill a baby without question? He was like, no, I'd ask a question.
How much?
He was kind of like, oh, what a scumbag.
Yeah, because he thinks that should any ill befall Joffrey, Tommen would hold the claim. Bywater and the Gold Cloaks would at least protect him. Bronn is just as like to sell him to their enemies as he was to bring him back to Tyrion, so he's not taking that risk. Tyrion also notes that he doesn't care what's done with Lord Giles so long as he doesn't die, and that Cersei will be sending along a Kingsguard with Tommen, and Bronn isn't too concerned about that, because he's like, the Hound is Joffrey's, and the rest I'm not fucking too concerned about. The Gold Cloak should be able to handle any other punk-ass Kingsguard. And then Tyrion says if it comes to killing, he does not want it done in front of Tommen. My nephew is tender-hearted.
He's just such a sweet boy.
And Bronn asks, are you certain he's a Lannister? And Tyrion says, I'm certain but nothing of winter and battle. I mean, he is a Lannister. He is a Lannister.
He
is a Lannister.
Through and through. There's nothing but Lannister in that game.
Yeah, no shit. But Tyrion says, well, fuck it, come, I'll ride with you part of the way. And Bronn's like, Chitaya's? And he's like, yeah, you know me so well.
Yeah.
Which, that's not that good, Tyrion. That's when a red flag went up for me. You don't trust him with your nephew, yet he knows you well enough to be like, yeah, he's going to Chitaya's tonight. Mm-hmm. And so they ride out and encounter very few people as the curfew had been extended. LOL.
Yeah, which according to Varys, people are pissed and
I wonder what that's like. Oh.
Yeah, no kidding. Can't go out. Granted, we aren't at risk of death when we go out past curfew.
Well, I don't know. Depends on where you live, I guess.
True.
And yeah, eventually Tyrion just has had enough and fucking
they did
off.
encounter some gold cloaks, but that was really nothing.
But they recognize him, which isn't a good thing. As soon as they recognize who they stop, they're like, oh shit, sorry, my Lord Hand, but they recognize him. Now there's two gold cloaks that know that Tyrion was out and about. But eventually, yeah, he's like, fuck it. If someone's following me, they're doing good. So he just takes off, throws all caution to the wind.
Yeah, they have to be a rat.
It got very Shakespearean in describing it as he's like whipping through the cities, riding to his love.
The moonlight glowing as his cloak billowed behind.
It felt like a Shakespeare.
It's very Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. And as he hammered on the gates, he hears singing coming from inside the manse, and the singing breaks off as he enters, and he sees Shae and some fat-bellied singer, and Tyrion asks, "Who the fuck is this?"
Who's this guy? Who's your friend?
This is Simon Silvertongue, my lord hand, and it would be a great pleasure to play for your lordship. And Tyrion's like, oh, and a great fool, because you would have been better off pretending not to recognize me.
Yeah, Simon Silvertongue's a dipshit here, because he's like, what do you mean?
Now you know of Shae, where she is, and when I come to visit my lady, and that's not good information. And Shae's like, come on, dude, he's not going to sing for me no more. But Simon, of course, is like, I swear I won't tell anyone. And Tyrion's like, you're right, you won't. And then they go up to bed.
Yeah.
And as they head up, he tells Shae that she can keep him, but keep him close. It wouldn't do to have him out talking shit. But then Tyrion's done with talk, and he wants to just fuck it out.
What else?
And they do. And then afterward, he goes out to the garden. The garden. And sits by the stone bathing pond and thinks that it's peaceful here. And wonders just how long that will be. And this scene harkened me back to Ned Stark by the Heart Tree.
Yeah.
Kind of just taking a minute and being like, fuck. And I really like it. Like, I like this moment of just, what the fuck what am I doing? What's going on? And suddenly Shae is standing in the door.
Well, yeah, he smells something foul and rank behind him, which he was mentioning that here in the garden, that stench of the streets of King's Landing kind of wasn't there when he was with Shae. She always smelled clean and not gross. Yeah. And this part was very creepy almost to me, because he smells this smell, doesn't hear anything, turns, and she's standing there I almost feel like silhouetted in her white gown, just very glowy.
Yeah, because she was asleep.
Her is this filthy, gross beggar's brother, and it almost made me think of the Bran chapter with the Catspaw assassin, and just how dirty and vile he looked, until she's like, hey, Varys is here.
Yeah.
And he's like, even Varys is like, wait, what? How the fuck?
And Tyrion laughs, and he's like, how the fuck did you know that it was him? And she says, a whore learns to see the man, not his garb, or she ends up dead in an alley. And I don't like that explanation at all. While I agree that anyone, I mean, not just a whore, can learn to see a true Varys is a fucking tried and true mummer. This isn't just some, I noticed the way he walks is similar to the spider. This is a skill. This is a red flag to Tyrion of she can play. Yeah, she can play the game. She recognizes the spider as he's slipping around through the city.
She can get information as good, if not better, than Varys.
She recognized him immediately.
I have a lot to say about Shae after their conversation here.
I got something to say.
Because I've got a slightly new opinion on Shae.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it.
She asks Tyrion asks Shae to get them some wine, and he tells Varys that he ought to dress in black feathers, because he's as bad an omen as any raven. But Varys then says what he's come to report, which is that Sir Courtenay Penrose is dead. Storm's End has opened its gates to Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah, and
Tyrion's like, what?
The fuck, bro? He's pissed.
He chucks his cup of wine at the stones, and it explodes, the red wine going all over it. And he thinks Storm's End was strong. This should have taken at least 6 half months. A year or longer.
At least.
And then he asks her, how did this happen? And Varys glances at Shae real quick and is like, maybe we shouldn't trouble her lady's sweet dreams with such talk.
Yeah, she tries to, I'm not scared, and I don't know, I just think that even this part, she was able to remain for all of that already.
Any other, lady, as she wants to be, of Tyrion's,
would be excused.
Would have, promptly. Let me go get wine, and, I'll come bring you wine and dip again.
And
I won't listen to this, obviously, but she she's the one who saw Varys in.
Yes.
She's the one who announced him to Tyrion.
Brought their drinks.
And then is staying here for this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, Shae? And yeah, Tyrion tells her that you should be. Stannis will turn for King's Landing now. And so he asks Varys, give us a moment, but I'll ride back to the castle with you. Let me talk to Shae for a minute. And so Varys bows and heads out. And as Varys heads out, we are going to convene our small council before Tyrion and Shae have a lover's quarrel. So we'll get right back to the episode.
Word. What up, small council?
Yawn!
Yeah, it's a big yawn.
Yeah.
A little sleepy day, late afternoon, early afternoon.
Early afternoon.
Oh, mid-afternoon. I don't
Mid-afternoon.
know. It's during the day, and it's a
the sun
weekend,
is out.
so we're not required to keep track.
Sun's out, guns out.
All right. Ease up. Back
Anyway,
up.
we just wanted to let you guys know where you can get in contact with us if you want to send us in inductees for chapters that we're reading that are upcoming, or just let us know your thoughts or feelings. So we are on Twitter at Carstark92. You can find me, and at Manners Without is where Nate keeps track of our podcast Twitter.
Yeah.
And that is also the Instagram at Manners Without.
The email, which can be most commonly seen by us, that's where we almost 100% see everything that comes through, is withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. That's where we like to get those long-winded, in-depth emails. So send us some stuff there. We're available on YouTube, and just search Brotherhood Without Manners. You'll find all our
There's some great conversations had
And yeah,
there.
so speaking of, I did want to mention, since this small council is for Tyrion 10, one of the comments on our Tyrion 9 episodes on YouTube came from Amelia.
Hey!
And she said this is one of her favorite chapters, and in her opinion, so much scarier than in the show. They're all on horses, and still shit is incredibly dangerous. Great episode. Her inductee for that episode would have been poor Lawless, but also the Hound for coming to Sansa's aid, and she's really happy that it didn't go as far in the show. She did ask about, some house sorting, but we covered that last episode, and so we appreciate you writing to us there, Amelia. We always like to have those back and forth. Same with Stephanie, who's fairly frequently commenting on our YouTube. Yeah, we also have our Facebook, though, facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. And there's regular posts, updates about our episodes when they're released, and there's also a private Facebook group, the sealed section, and you can gain access to that by checking out our Patreon, patreon.com/withoutmanners, and there's two different tiers, $2 tier and a $5 tier. Both tiers grant access to the Facebook private group, as well as the bonus Winds of Winter sample chapters. We do have some added benefits for $5 tiers coming in. Currently, it's just the early access for the episodes I managed to get out early throughout the month, but we're definitely brainstorming heavily those
restructuring some stuff.
Yeah, so bear with us for that.
Yeah.
We have been busy doing other recordings with some other stuff, so keep an eye out for that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think that covers most of it, unless you got anything to add there,
Nope.
guy. Good, because I didn't want to hear it anyway.
Sick.
We'll let you get back to the episode.
Others take you.
Fuck you.
Keep it safe.
Oh,
Keep
I
it
interrupted you both times. That was perfect.
You're the worst.
We're bad.
He has to make stupid fucking noises. I hate you. Don't laugh.
Okay, I'll stop laughing. I can't laugh anymore.
I hope you get the Dementor's kiss.
That's rough.
Yeah, all the fucking happiness. Whoop, gone.
Wow, my whole soul is just gone.
Fuck you.
So I think that's similar to how Shae is going to feel here shortly.
Tyrion tells her that it isn't safe, it isn't secret here, because someone shit all over it, and just reminds her that, or tells her that a mob had burned a manse very similar to hers during the riot, just for having a full larder. And what do you think they would do if they found the Hand's Lady? Like, the city is volatile. You are not safe here in this manse or in this city with Stannis coming and shit happening, riots left and right, King Bread being hailed.
Yeah, so now this is where I'm going to start getting into how I've recently made a 180 turn on how I feel towards Shae, and fuck Tyrion regarding Shae. He called her his lady right there.
Yeah.
We know it's just his paid whore, but he wants to pretend like it's his lady, but not completely, just when it's convenient for Tyrion, which obviously I love Tyrion and all that, but when it comes to her, it's only when it works for him that he wants those things, that you're my lady, because she'll even mention right then, if you want me to be your lady, then make me your lady. Like, buy me the dresses, the pearls. Like, I will be your lady. But you need to make me your fucking lady. You're just pretending when I'm here fucking you.
See, this is where I'll at least agree to play devil's advocate. Why does it have to be the pearls and the dresses? She's living in a fucking manse, whereas before she was a war follower whore. And I'm not saying that it's a great situation, and I understand that like there's some ownership here and lack of freedoms, but she's complaining, and she goes on, because you're right. She says, the hand's whore, you mean. She wants to be his lady, go to feasts, give him sons, the pearls, the dresses.
See, and I think that's the thing that's important to mention, is she's just kind of adding on those additional features of being a lady, but it's more that she wants to be recognized as his wife, as that. If he takes her in that way, then she's willing to be that person for him. I think that, especially because of the fact that he's one of the richest men in Westeros, is a big part of it. But I think she would be willing to be faithful and on board with him if he was willing to take her as his wife.
But I mean,
he can't. And that's society.
And has done, I mean, when he's not with her, he's thinking of her. He's taken no other woman. I mean, he is being as faithful to a lady that's a whore as he can. I mean, I'm not, again, saying Tyrion's perfect in this relationship, but I mean, he is doing what he can in this fucked up relationship. It's just, I think, because they go on, because this actually added to my fuel to the fire for Shae of why I dislike her. But she tells him that she would never shame him, and he thinks that my love for you shames me enough. I mean, he is a wounded creature who has done this before and been absolutely fucked for it with Tysha.
I mean, but at the same time, she's been doing this too, where she's getting treated by these lords as, oh, you're my lady, you're my lovely woman.
Do we know that she has?
Well, she was taken from another lord.
She was taken from a knight.
And then I'm not gonna get too heavy into it, but, she was raped by her father, and she had that issue. And then being forced into slavery by her father as well. She claims, and
she can see through Varys' disguise. That is not just something you learn by sleeping
there's always
with men.
The possibility that she was this trained person that was planted by Tywin to witness him from the beginning. If you want to think that, I feel like it really is just kind of trying to build up the idea that whores see a lot more than people are giving them credit for. And so if you want valid information, decent information...
We've already gotten that with Chitaya.
And so I think it's showing it's not just Chitaya, though.
I think there is a whole new level of danger when we're talking about Shae compared to Chitaya. Yeah. I think Chitaya runs a business, and as that knows the information that's prudent to her and hers... But Shae is actively working for a goal. That makes me
like Shae that much more. Like, that she's got this. Like, she's not just this, oh, I just suck cock so I can make money. Like, she's got this. No, like, I will be your lady.
So you think Chitaya just sucks cock to make money?
That's not at all what I'm saying, obviously. I've said for many chapters that's not the case.
But because he tells her, sweet dream, put the sweet dream aside, I beg you, it can never be. And she straight up tells him to kill Cersei.
Well, I'm sure because they share pillow talk constantly, he complains about his sister and how much he dislikes her. So she does probably know at least that much to where, and knows clearly how the game works, and she knows he won't. And he says only because he would be called kin killer, and
he'd have to fight Jaime and Tywin. There's no, what does that serve? Killing her does nothing to benefit their relationship.
It just brings you into the realm, but then we all die anyway. Like, it doesn't make sense. But I don't think that was that was one of those.
And then she goes on to say that, so you're afraid of your brother and your father, but the young wolf and Lord Stannis don't scare you. And he thinks, how little you know, sweetling. Like, they're fucking constant worries in his head. So there's this discrepancy here.
I feel like she's kind of picking at him.
I feel like that's bullshit, too.
Yeah, she knows why he can't do it.
She's starting to get pissy, and which leads to the slap coming up. But he thinks that, he mentions that he may be able to bring her into the castle kitchens as a scullion. And she begins to flirt and tease him, being like, oh, would you want to sprinkle me in flour and suck gravy off my tits?
See, and this here is... he's just kind of making her work. Like, I get he's paying her to be his sex slave. No, you're going to go work in the kitchen this week. You're going to go work here, wherever I can find. And I know that's not where he's actually coming from. But, like,
he's trying to bring her closer.
From her perspective, that's what. No, I just want to fuck you. I need you closer. But I don't care what you're doing in the meantime. I'm going to put you somewhere that you can only be with me.
She's claiming she wants to be his lady and all this, but she's not willing to put in any fucking work to do so. I mean, like, most ladies maintain a household, like, or do something. So even Cersei's fucking busy doing stuff. Like,
but Cersei's not in the kitchen scrubbing
she's
pots.
Not, but
Catelyn's not
Shae
in
has
the
no
kitchen.
last name. She is a whore.
Absolutely, but if he wants to treat her like she doesn't, like she's some high lady, that's what he wants to act like she is to him. Is this, oh, you're my lady, I love you, I want, you are this perfect thing for me, but go hide in the corner.
Well, right.
Obviously,
it's
she
the
should
only
come
way
with
they can.
that comes with the job.
She needs to understand that he can't.
Needs to, but that's what stop. Then don't pretend like you actually think I'm your lady. I'm still the hands whore.
But that's absolutely right. But here, when she starts teasing him, he thinks that she reminds him of Dancy trying to win her wager.
Yeah,
and that to me, that's it. Shae is trying to win her wager.
But why not?
Whatever it is. So
that's where I'm at now. Why can't she aspire for more?
I'm not saying she can't. I'm just saying she's not as innocent as she's making things out to be.
Not at all. I don't
she
think she's
doesn't
innocent
want
at
to
all.
be his lady. She wants to use him to climb her own ladder, whatever the fuck.
See, and I'm not saying. I think that if he was able to do that, make her his lady, she would be all on board with that. That's what she wants, is to get to a point where she's happy in life and has all that.
I think Tyrion would then be in danger if he raised her up to the point of lady and could do that. And
then she'd be on that level of having the power and playing the game. Absolutely.
There's no love for him, I don't think.
No,
at all.
I'm not saying it's good for him, but I don't think that it's. Before I was like, no, fuck her for trying. No, like, if you're capable, like, that's what Littlefinger did. She is a female Littlefinger without the creepy, pervy part.
Yeah.
But she's just utilizing her strengths to move up in the world.
This is why you don't use relationships to fix yourselves, kids. Anyway.
So I just think it's interesting that it's funny. She's completely taking advantage of who we think and know as one of the most intelligent characters in the series. And we're completely blind to it. He's completely blind to it. And especially because she's going to turn
even my first read, I was like,
See, but it makes me, I have this fondness for her now. Like, that makes it that, like, you're playing Tyrion. Littlefinger can't play Tyrion. Varys is having problems playing Tyrion.
Yeah.
Like, all these people, but she's playing him completely, and to the point where she's going to play Tywin.
This is his fatal flaw. His Achilles heel is the love aspect.
And she happened to get that.
And she happens to be a player in that realm. And I think that's the interesting mirror between her and Chitaea, is Chitaea, I think, is aware of that, but doesn't twist that knife and use it against Tyrion. She just is, whereas Shae is using that to try to elevate her position. But he reminds himself how young she actually is and naive, and tells her that she's most precious to him and it is safer there than here. And she asks why she can't stay in the Hand's Tower with him. And he says that he was expressly forbidden by his father to bring her to court. And she, again, your stupid father, and she pouts. What could he do? Spank you?
Yeah, and so this is where Tyrion hauls off and fucking hits her.
Yeah.
And it's for mocking him. Now, I think right here is where she kind of breaks. And it goes, like, I think it was initially, she would be willing to do quite a bit for him, for the amount that he's paying her. Once she hit him, once he hit her, it purely became, all right, fuck you. This is a job, and if at the first chance I get, I will fucking turn on you if somebody's willing to pay me more.
Yeah, she doesn't speak for a moment and then begs his pardon, and he thinks, gods be good, am I turning into Cersei? But then tells her that was ill done, and then he tells her the story of Tysha and Tywin and Jaime and the whole setup, and how she was raped by all the guardsmen and he had to take her last. And he said, and this is the one moment, not the one moment because Tyrion's flawed, but this was the moment in the chapter where Tyrion's flaw to me came out, where he says his cock betrayed him and he still did the deed at the end.
Yeah.
Like, that's to me vile. Like, what man is going to watch his wife, the woman he loved, get raped and still be able to get erect at the sight of that? Like, so it's telling about both of these characters, and I think that's the entire point of this chapter, is to show this relationship in this secret garden where they're alone. Well, Varys is creeping around somewhere, so probably hears absolutely everything, and Shae is hard to read, but her eyes are wide as she says she'll do as he commands, and he kisses her cheek to sort of lighten the moment and says that he'll send for her and heads out.
Yeah.
And that's where they leave it. Never go to bed angry.
Now, see, here's the other thing that I think of, because I, as you know, am currently reading It. And there's a character in there who is attracted to abusive relationships, and she gets beat.
I feel attacked right now.
Come at me, bro. And she thinks it's weird, the correlation between the characters, because it's this comfort level, but it's also this, I know this is wrong, being treated this way, and so he's hitting her, just like the spouse that hits the female in It, and he almost feels justified in it. No, I'm teaching her a lesson. This is something that needs to happen, and even Robert felt this way when he hit her. Did that ever actually in the show scene where they sit
Cersei
down? Yeah, that's what I thought when he hits her. It's very much, I didn't want to do that. It doesn't matter if you afterwards, I'm sorry, that was ill done. You still fucking hit her, man.
Yeah.
She's going to remember that. It's still not cool if, I'm sorry, I lost my temper. You still fucking did the deed. She's not going to forget, and you kind of deserve when she turns on you a bit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in this world, it's a little different. A little bit different.
True.
You're not supposed to talk out of turn. But Varys was waiting for him in the stables, and they mount and ride in silence. Tyrion is thinking of Shae and Tysha, and suddenly he's afraid that he just said too much.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of blurted out.
I don't think that's wrong. I feel
agree,
like and again, that's the flaw of him, is the trusting the whore, the trusting, people that he does trust, he trusts too much almost.
So, Shae had wide eyes after he told her that story. Is that because she's sent by Tywin, and he's telling the story of the first whore that was sent by Tywin?
Maybe, yeah.
In quotes.
I mean, again,
So
I don't know that I subscribe
shit.
to that. She was hired by Tywin thing.
Whatever.
Unless Bronn is also being paid by Tywin, is the only other thing I could, maybe Bronn made a visit to Tywin when they first arrived there, and Tywin was like, so...
I mean, how hard is it to plant an attractive whore a couple tents around Tyrion's and...
True, and just have
not
those five
expect
there.
him to
Yeah,
pick
absolutely.
one.
That makes sense.
But his elbow begins to throb from the Morningstar blow he took in the battle, and he considers seeking out a maester. But ever since Pycelle, he has mistrusted maesters, never knowing who they could be serving or what poisons they may be putting in your potions.
I did also want to point out one last quote that he thinks about the whores there before he moves on. He says that, "Fool of a dwarf, it is only the gold and jewels the whores love." He admits it to himself right there. Like, she is probably more interested in the money, and yet still told her all that, and is still going to continue to trust her.
I ain't saying she a gold digger.
But she's a fucking gold digger.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
again, which I don't think is anything wrong.
She's aspiring to more.
Which I think is what a lot of people aspire for, more money. That's what she's doing. And if that's labeled as a gold digger, maybe she's a successful businesswoman in the, sexual entrepreneurial industry.
That's why I think it's such an interesting mirror between Chitaya.
Well, because I
Shae.
especially was giving Shae shit when Chitaya had that nice setup, but it's just
they're two sides of the same coin,
right? Because she's from the island where it's a religious thing. She's practically a priestess in this. Shae, it's more capitalist. It's more about making money.
Because we do. I mean, when Sansa's fucking playing Harry the Heir and being badass and shit, we're cheering and pumping our fists. But when Shae's doing it to Tyrion, we're like,
right.
So it is an interesting.
Yeah, and that's what it was.
Damn you, Martin! Don't make me look at myself and my own ideals.
I was saying how cool and badass Chitaya was for building this industry. Well, she's just in the 1099 sector. She's just an independent contractor.
I
is
fucking
all.
hate you.
And so she's killing it. Like,
go away.
Good for you, Shae.
Tyrion lays out to Varys his kitchen scheme of bringing Shae in, and Varys just warns him that the kitchens are full of eyes and ears, and She'll be a servant. Yeah, she's gonna get pinched and prodded and fondled and fingered and all sorts of shit. So you probably don't want that. However,
Besides, I have a better idea.
I have a solution for you out of my ass.
Lady Tanda's maidservant recently was caught stealing. Hasn't been reported yet.
Yeah, no, I could flip that switch whenever I want.
Dude, how much shit does he have around the castle?
If you would like, I could flip that switch, have her removed, and Shae could come in for maidservant to Lawless, her daughter, who hasn't left her chamber since the mob. Wonder why the fuck that might be. Maybe because she was raped fucking 50 or 60 times.
Right.
I don't blame her for not leaving her fucking chamber.
Therefore, it wouldn't make sense
Shae
for her
would
to
be
not
out of
have to
sight.
leave all the time. And then Tyrion's like, yeah, but it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to see Lawless's maidservant coming to my chambers all the time.
Chitaya is not the only house to boast a hidden door. And Tyrion just thinks he's more annoyed than surprised. He's like, a fucking course Maegor, who had all the builders killed, would have fucking passages everywhere. Why else have them
Where
killed?
is the door to my chambers? My bathroom, the solar, my bedroom?
A magician doesn't reveal all his secrets, my lord. Like, fuck you.
Tyrion's like, yo, those are our secrets now.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
No, not yet.
No.
Not yet, they're not.
But Tyrion asks, so tell me, how is it that Penrose died?
It is said he threw himself from one of the towers. But that's not the case.
His guards saw no man enter or leave. And Tyrion says, so how was it done then, Varys? And Varys asks Tyrion if he believes in the old powers. Magic, you mean? Tyrion snorts. Sir Courtenay was magicked to death? And Varys just...
Yeah, so he tells him the day before Penrose had challenged Stannis to 1v1 combat.
1v1.
I like to call it 1v1 combat.
Yeah,
to a duel to the death. And a man who does that isn't sitting there getting ready to just surrender his own life, give up the castle. If he's prepared to try and take Stannis in that combat, you know, he's not going to do something stupid like suicide. And if we saw nobody enter or exit, and so then he goes on to get a little mystifying.
Yeah, so bear with me. This is a bit of a long passage here, but it's Varys recalling of how he was cut, and I think it's just very important to his character. So he says, I was an orphan boy, apprenticed to a traveling folly. Our master owned a fat little cog, and we sailed up and down the narrow sea, performing in all the free cities, and from time to time in Old Town and King's Landing. One day, at Mere, a certain man came to our folly. After the performance, he made an offer for me that my master found too tempting to refuse. I was in terror. I feared the man meant to use me, as I heard men use small boys. But in truth, the only part of me he had need of was my manhood. He gave me a potion that made me powerless to move or speak, yet did nothing to dull my senses. With a long hooked blade he sliced me root and stem, chanting all the while. I watched him burn my manly parts on a brazier. The flames turned blue, and I heard a voice answer his call, though I did not understand the words they spoke. That is Varys getting cut. He then proceeds to say that once the man was done with him, he threw him out in the street to die.
Yeah.
He resolved to live and sold what parts remained to him.
Yeah, he became a thief, learned that information in letters was more expensive than the coin in their pouches, and utilized that to grow his power to become who he is today.
And then just one last little bit, he says, I dream of the voice from the flames. Was it a god, a demon, some conjurer's trick? I could not tell you, and I know all the tricks. All I can say for a certainty is that he called it, and it answered, and since that day I have hated magic and all those who practice it. If Lord Stannis is one such, I mean to see him dead. So that's Varys' stance on Stannis.
Magic.
If he's
and
using
Stannis.
Melisandre
for magic, he wants him dead.
He wants him dead because of a legit fucking reason.
Now that we've gotten that bitty bit out of the way, I have a few questions here. First, do you think he did hear the voice and understand it?
Yes.
And
No, I don't
understand
think
it.
he understood it. No.
Okay, you
No.
don't think he's lying about that? You think he just heard a voice?
Or
but didn't know?
if he did understand it, he's PTSD'd and has
Can't-
but
very
I think
Bran-like.
he is very accurately describing what happened and remembering the dream. I think that's like burned in, but maybe the voice, whatever it said, was too awful, and he's skewing that, but I believe that he's remembering correctly what happened to him.
Cool.
Yeah. I just don't think he could understand it or is intentionally repressing that part of the memory.
Second, if we know that the Meisters in Old Town seem to be pretty anti-magic.
Yeah.
There's some rumors and theories that they are kind of waging a war against the Faceless Men with the magic.
Yeah.
And if Varys is anti-magic, do you think he's working with the Citadel in any way? Or against the Faceless Men? Follow-up question to add on to that one. Rumor is the Dany's dragons is what brought magic back. And he's backing her. But then he's not, is he? Fagon or Dany?
Well, that's the big whodunit with Varys.
And so if the dragons brought the magic back into the world and he is so anti-magic, it would go to reason that he would probably do something to end the dragons or Dany or both. Well, all four. But you think that'll play into the...
No, I think at this point, Dany is much more valuable alive than dead with her 3 dragons. I think it would become more of a... We need to get Fagon and Dany together, especially to solidify that claim if Fagon is Fagon and is a Blackwater. Or, Jesus Christ, a Blackfire. Blackwater. But No, Varys' motives with helping Dany are hard too, because some of it doesn't seem to make sense at the time, and Illyrio.
Yeah, his involvement.
His involvement is questionable, but I think... No, right now Dany is a wild card, but one that's more valuable alive and
So back
existing.
to the Varys assisting the Citadel towards Faceless
No,
Men.
Well, it depends on if Pycelle's view of Varys is the Citadel's view of eunuchs, because Varys distrusts, or
True.
Pycelle distrusts him immediately because he's a eunuch. Is that a Maester thing? Is it just all
Or
eunuchs?
is it a Cersei, a Lannister?
Yeah, or
type
is it like a
house thing?
Lannister thing? But also, there's people like Marwyn the Mage. I think Varys, if this is the level he detests magic, he wouldn't even approve of the Citadel's
True.
study.
Yeah, makes
So
sense.
I think it's he knows the politics. It's an institution, the Citadel, and it's corruptible. They're men. They're failable. And so I don't think he's working with the Citadel. But
Yeah, so anyway,
that's
Tyrion...
just straight guessing.
Tyrion doesn't believe Varys, and Varys knows it. Tyrion tries to apologize, but not a big deal. And Tyrion is basically like, I didn't see it happen. Like, if I don't see the magic, I'm not
I
gonna
believe in
it.
steel swords, gold coins, and men's wits. And I believe there were once dragons. I have seen their skulls, after all. So yeah, I need to see it to believe it.
He's a very factual-based guy. And so then he suggests maybe...
Varys says, let's hope that is the worst thing you ever see, is dragon skulls. And Tyrion's like, yeah, we agree on that. Fuck yeah.
No kidding. So but then he suggests maybe, just maybe, Stannis hired a faceless assassin to come and take out Courtney Penrose.
He used to dream of being rich enough to hire one to go after Cersei.
Dang.
Foreshadowing?
Well, I think it's also...
Arya kills Cersei?
I never really thought about that. Yeah, wow. Fucking duh.
I mean, like...
I like that a
what
lot.
if it is Tyrion hiring Arya?
I like that a lot.
To kill fucking Cersei.
Neat. That's neat to
Yeah.
think about. But,
yeah.
I just think it's interesting, especially with the faceless mentioning, with it, whatever. Yeah, so...
Anyway, regardless, Penrose is dead and Stannis is now free to march. So Tyrion asks for news of his father. And
he's
says
won his way across the Red Fork, but that's about it. He's about to trap himself between enemies.
Yeah.
And you were...
No, that was it. And Tyrion asks, so there's been no word from Littlefinger, and Varys says perhaps he never reached Bitter Bridge, or perhaps he died there. Lord Tarley has seized Renly's stores and put a good many to the sword.
Yeah.
Florence, mainly. Lord Caswell has shut up in his castle. And so Tyrion throws back his head and barks, and Varys, like a dog, I imagine, doing like the kind of cocked, my lord. And he says, don't you see the jest, Varys? And he waves a hand at the sleeping city around them. Stannis is coming with fire and steel, and the gods alone know what dark powers. And the good folk don't have Jaime to protect them, nor Robert, nor Renly, nor Rhaegar, nor their precious Knight of the Flowers. Only me, the one they hate, the dwarf, the imp, the twisted little demon monkey. I am all that stands between them and chaos. Dun, dun, dun. No, not dun, dun, dun.
Yeah,
Just,
he punches it home.
Satire, Tyrion, I love it. And it's true.
Yeah, it really is.
Literally with his chain. Like, he is the barrier between them and
the wildfire.
Cersei's chaos, Joffrey's chaos.
Well, that's it. He's the only one holding everything back. If he wasn't there, nobody would have been keeping Joffrey in check.
The bread riots would have ended with, like...
slaughter in the streets.
Joffrey dead, the Hound dead, Sansa dead. Fucking, they would have died there if Tyrion wasn't there
to spur them out of that moment.
Even
and keep the
with
chaos
his sellswords in the crowd, and like it just would have gone much worse. So you got an inductee?
Oh
yeah.
No, I don't. Who's your inductee?
Mine.
While I think about it.
What?
While
you think about it?
Yeah.
Oh, mine's Varys. Just because I like the Mummer show he puts on, and then. I really like the rumor in this one of the image of Penrose throwing himself off a tower. So, is that how? So Stannis' ghost baby
came and
threw
shoved him off. Yeah,
just chucked him off the tower.
That's I think what it was. It just came
brutal.
up. He was probably up there just enjoying, a fucking.
Oh, I'm in a locked tower.
Yeah, just enjoying a scotch or something up on his little balcony, and up comes this shadow, just fucking whoop yeet right off the tower.
So. I don't normally do this, ladies and gentlemen, but I just got a very interesting message and a picture that I will be tweeting later. But apparently Sir Beric Dondarrion just got a little kiddie pool full of ice, and he is the happiest puppy. So stay tuned to Twitter, and you'll probably see those. Anyway.
That's awesome. That gave me time to come up with mine.
Yeah, cool. Sick.
It only makes sense that because I was harping on about her so much that I'm going to give it to Shae.
That's what I thought you were going
with. And
I like your arguments. I do.
I have to give credit to the girls on YouTube for kind of pointing out some errors in my argument last time about, mostly what I'm saying here. And I just, she's playing her game, and she's doing it well.
If she was a man, we'd have no issue with what she's doing.
That's it.
Yeah.
See?
That's
right.
I can see that failability in myself, but I love Tyrion so much that I'm willing to look at everyone else as the villain.
Yeah. Well, that's what I came in this with, like, the whole reread. We're doing the analytics, like, why do I have to? I hate Theon, but I still read his chapters. I still discuss it. And so, I wanted to take another look at Shae, and she just fucking killed it for me. Yeah. So, mad
she's
props to her.
She's certainly an ancient. What are your motivations?
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
What are you here for,
so,
Shae?
She's playing Tyrion, I think, and I think she's one of the best ones at doing it at the moment.
Currently got him the best. Yep.
Do you, girl?
Do you, Shae?
Do it.
Bye, soon.
Slay queen.
She's going to be slain, so.
Anyway, with my inductee out of the way, let's get to the good ones.
The good ones.
And this is from our favorite French fry friend, our French fry friend, Julian from France.
From France.
If you didn't get it, this is not just French fries.
We just like France but a lot.
He says, "Hey there, fellows. We get so many Tyrion and King's Landing chapters. They are a treat, so I enjoy them as much as I can while they last. The Varys magic backstory was something I enjoyed very much in the TV show. And as many, I was impatiently waiting to finally know what words the voice did speak. And now I read that he simply hasn't understood them."
Correct.
That's almost disappointing.
Understood. I feel like we'll get those known.
No, I think it's awesome, actually.
I feel like that'll come up with some Varys reveals and be an interesting one.
I think it shows, again, that the showrunners did some decent stuff on the Game of Thrones show, that it's one of those things that could be left to ambiguity. Mm-hmm. What the fuck did he hear?
Yeah, Martin may never answer that.
And maybe it's only because he's not a red priest, he doesn't know how to read the flames.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just never been taught in that, and that's all it is. And even the red priests there in Mel are constantly misinterpreting words.
He doesn't say that it's a red priest.
No, he doesn't. And so that's why I'm just saying,
could be some dark Cthulhu fucking
who knows?
Magic.
Who the fuck knows? Anyway, still very nice to read. And I am therefore going to induct our dear Lord Varys. How that kid who got bought for his parts managed to rise from the misery, become a thief, and keep going until being now one of the most powerful, not actually a lord, lords of King's Landing. Mighty impressive.
Even more impressive that he's not actually a lord, but he's still got that much power.
Right.
And
so he says, Valar Dohaeris, or is it Valadohaeris? So quick little break for you there,
Julian. So we love you.
What Julian did here was he took the Valar Dohaeris and pointed out that Va and Rhys are in there, meaning that Varys' name is subtly hidden in there.
Clever.
Very
Great. We're Americans. We have terrible education systems.
We're dumb as shit, yo.
It took us 25 minutes of discussing what your outro greeting farewell meant.
I didn't know who Rhys was, and I thought you were giving me some... Listen. Slow it down for us,
We
man.
have a saying here in America. It's called KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm not calling you stupid. We're stupid. We need it stupid. But anyway.
As always.
We loved it.
We absolutely adore your inductee.
You're cleverer than us.
Thank you for writing in.
As are most people.
We appreciate it.
Of course, Julia, thank you. Varys is that is such a monumental part of Varys, of who he is, how he got cut. And so, I guess my biggest question is, do you believe it? Or is it all bullshit?
I believe it. I still do think that...
My second question, what if Varys isn't a eunuch? Has anyone ever... I mean, he shaves his head bald, but, has anyone ever taken a peek?
I mean, no.
Because there is the theory that he is himself a Targaryen that shaves his head bald to keep his hair from growing and revealing his heritage.
Yeah.
But... I've always wondered that. Everyone says he's a eunuch. He's a eunuch.
I think he keeps his head bald because it helps for his mummers' wigs and tricks. And
I would agree.
But I think he's a eunuch. I don't know that anybody's actually checked. I almost feel like if somebody's going to hire the eunuch for being a eunuch, it might be part of the job process to be like, check it, little ball tap real quick. No, scrotum check.
I just wonder if Varys doesn't do an almost Joker thing where each time he just comes up with a new origin story of how he got cut.
Yeah.
This time it was a wizard. But I think there's a little I believe it as well. I was just asking because of his hatred for magic.
See, for me, it's more of this. Of all the people in King's Landing, Tyrion's the closest thing he's had to a friend that's friendly. Yeah. Illyrio's a business partner.
They can chat,
he can just kind of be funny and be sarcastic, and they understand each other on that level. So, anyway, next chapters we are reading Catelyn 6, followed by I Didn't Write It Down. Who is after Catelyn 6? Do you know? You've got my book. You took my book and just walked away.
You took my book.
You're a son of a bitch. Oh, wait, we're brothers. I probably shouldn't say that.
Rude.
I don't think it's Dan. Dude, why are you yelling at me right now? You could have written it down, too. It's Bran. I don't know what number Bran it is, but check it out. It's a Bran book.
It's going to be Bran. So, get us next. It's going to be Catelyn 6. Send us inductees for that. And following that will be the next Bran chapter.
So, inductees, yay. And we look forward to reading those with you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Valar Dohaeris!
Peace!